The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
All right, welcome and thanks for attending this new to 7.3 webinar. My name is Aaron Leacock. I will be covering today the reference drawings and modeling notes. If you have any questions about anything you see, go ahead and just send an email to your support rep or give your support rep a call. We won't be answering any questions during the webinar. So I'll go ahead and get started here. First thing I'm going to talk about is the reference drawings. Reference drawings, what they're going to allow you to do is they're going to allow you to bring 2D, DWG, DXF, or DGN files into 3D modeling, into the 3D modeling environment to help with grid lines, members, laying out members, and any other miscellaneous items that you could possibly use a 2D drawing for. So we'll jump right into it and we'll import a reference drawing here. To import a reference drawing, on the main menu we're going to go to Drawing Conversion. You'll notice now we have a couple different options. We have an option to import as a reference drawing. So I'm going to go ahead and select Import as a reference drawing. It's going to ask me to select my DWG, DXF, DGN file. I'm going to navigate to my location here, and you can select multiple files. So I'm going to select two DWGs here and open these. If you've imported any sort of DWG or DXF from AutoCAD before, you'll know that anything on a hatch line or hatch layer, you'll get these warnings about we didn't import them. That's okay, just say okay. So now I have two reference drawings imported. To look at and edit these reference drawings, we can go into Drawing Editor. And on the side here we have reference drawings. I can select a reference drawing and open it up. You'll notice in here I can come in, I can look at the different values here, different things in the drawing. One thing you can do in Drawing Editor here is you can locate the reference point that's going to be used to import the reference drawing in the model. If you go to your File pull down and go to Verify Reference Point, it's going to show you where the current reference point is that would be used to load this reference drawing. If I don't like that location, I can right-click for No, and it'll ask me to select a new location. So if I want to come down here and select this intersection down here, it'll ask me to verify this new location. I can left-click for Yes. And now my import location will be right here. So once I have that located, let's go into the model and let's go ahead and add this. So if I go to the main menu and start my modeling, one thing you want to make sure is that you do not have this open when you go to add the reference drawing in the model. So I'm going to save it and make sure I'm not actually in the drawing or in the reference drawing. So I just have a little building in here. Let's say I wanted to add this reference drawing off to the side here. I go up to my Model pull down, and I have Reference Drawing. I have the option to add, move, erase. I can add it from here. It allows me to select which reference drawing that I want. Notice on the right-hand side here, I can add details, job standard details, reference drawings, and direction views that would have been detailed as reference drawings as well. I'm going to select my reference drawing that we relocated the insertion point of and say OK. And make sure my point selectors are what I expect them to be, and I can locate this reference drawing wherever I want. When you import when you put a reference drawing in the model, it's going to import in a 1-to-1 scale. And notice if I rotate, it also rotates with the model. If I came in here and I wanted to put some of these columns in, I can look at this W14 by 82 and it gives me the BP1 here. So I'm just going to come up to my column add And you'll notice at the point selector now there is a reference drawing toggle. If I have that turned off, it will not locate based on that reference drawing. If I have it turned on, I can snap right to the center of that reference drawing, or to an intersection on that reference drawing. So I can come in here and I can fill out some information for this column. Oops, not W18, W14. I can fill out some information here. I can add BP1 since I saw that on the reference drawing. I can now have that column added right to that location based on where the reference drawing was locating it. So I can locate members based on this. You can also locate beams the same way, any sort of member based on the intersections of these reference drawings. If I wanted to remove this reference drawing, I can go up to Model, Reference Drawing, Erase. It'll ask me to select which reference drawing do I want to erase. I can select that, say OK, and that reference drawing is removed. If I wanted to add that drawing back in, I can go to Model, Reference Drawing, Add, select that reference drawing again, and say OK. Notice it did not ask me to locate that reference drawing again. When you've placed a reference drawing once already, it remembers the location it was added in the model, even after you erase it. If I wanted to move this reference drawing, I can go up to Model, Reference Drawing, and Move. I can select the reference drawing, and now I can select a new location for this reference drawing. You have on the default 7.3 toolbar, there are your reference drawing icons right here below your model tree. There is also a reference drawing tool which will come up and allow you to add, move, set the reference point in the model, erase, erase all, and hide. You also have the option to just uncheck the show ability, so you can just hide that individual reference drawing. So if you had multiple ones in here, you can turn off individual ones if you wanted to. Another way we can create reference drawings is through Drawing Editor itself. If I have another reference drawing that I imported here, let's say I want to split this up into two halves. I can come in here and I can copy this, and I can go Open. I can set a new reference drawing. I'm just going to call this South Plan. And you can fill out the drawing data if you'd like to, and I can paste this in here. And now I have half of that in a reference drawing. So if I save, and I can go back into the other one, and I can go ahead and delete that other half out of here. Save it. Now on my model, again, you don't want to be in the drawings. In the model, if I go into my tools, I can add. I can add this anywhere I want on here. I'm going to put it down here. And if I wanted to add the lower half, I could add the lower half in, but they're two separate reference drawings, so I can just turn them off whichever half I want. You also have hide all and show all if you want to turn them all off like that. If you make a change to a reference drawing, if I'm back in Drawing Editor and I open up this the first reference drawing here, and I decide that I don't want any of this information on the drawing, I just want the grid. If I save that and go back into the modeling, you'll notice it does not automatically update. if I go into my drawing tool here, my reference drawing tools, and I unshow and show again, it does not update. I have to actually select this and say move and make sure I'm not in it in Drawing Editor, and I can replace it, and then that information that I deleted has been updated to what is in Drawing Editor currently. The last topic that I'm going to cover here with reference drawings is that they do not detail with the erection views. So if I have this in here for this 99.2 erection view, and I go to detail 99.2, and in Drawing Editor look at my erection view, it does not include those reference drawings. It does include all the members I added off of them, but not the actual reference drawings. Alright, so if you have any questions about what you saw with the reference drawings, go ahead and shoot an email to your support rep or give them a call, and we'll answer those questions when you get them to us. The next topic we're going to cover here is going to be modeling notes. So I'm going to kind of hide these real quick. And delete that guy. Alright, so with modeling notes will allow users to add a visible or non-visible comment in the 3D model or to the project as a whole. They can be added, modified, or deleted from any of the new 7.3 stations for SDS2. And that these model notes are contained within the job itself. So if you send the job to someone, or someone sends you a job that has model notes in it, you will still see the model notes. So there are three basic types of model notes. The first one is just going to be what's called a model note. To add a model note, you go to Model, and I can add note to model. It's going to ask you to locate that model note. So I'll just pick an exact point here, and it'll come up with my note edit window. If you look at the top here on my note edit window, I have a show and model visibility check mark. I have a link button and a discipline button. The discipline allows me to select a certain discipline if I want to assign it to the detailer. I could do that. The status, if I wanted to set new. And custom, I could fill out a custom tag here. So I could say this is urgent. Now in this field, I have to hit enter for it to be a field that I can select. If I hit tab, it's not going to put that field in there. The last option here is the color. I can change the color what I want my note to be. So I'm just going to make it red. And then there's a subject line here. So let's say I'm questioning the roof elevation at this point. So down below, I can add a comment. I can right-click and add comment, or I can click the comment button. And I can say check elevation against drawings. Okay, notice the date is filled out for me automatically, and the user is filled out based on whatever the user you're logged in as. I can come in here and I can select it, and I can manually change that if I wanted to. Currently, there's no way to lock these fields. They are editable at any time. So now I can say OK, and now I have this model note in my model. The fields that we covered, the different tags with the detailer and stuff like that, that's all in your user options, or excuse me, your job options. So if you go to job options and go to your standard note tags, you can come in and you can set up new tags if you want specific ones. If you don't want a referred or a pending, you can just come in here and just delete out that line and it'll remove it. You can also type a new line in. Let's say you want one for the checker. And then you can also come on here and check the allow non-standard tags. What this will do, this will allow you to type in the field like I did with the custom tag. So if you want to be able to do that, you can turn these on and say OK, and then you can have all your setup there for your model notes. The next type of note is what's going to be considered a member note. There's a member note is just going to be basically a member or a note that's linked to a member. So if I add another note here, again on the default toolbar, you will see a model note add icon down here in the lower right, but you can also go to model, add note to model. I'm going to come in here and I'm going to just select a point right here, and I'm going to link this. This B77 right here is what I'm going to link it to. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to start picking B77. Well, there's a couple different member numbers with that same piece mark. You'll notice in the model that it is highlighting the member as I select it. So I can keep selecting until I find the one I want. This is the one I want to assign it to. I can say OK. Let's say I'm going to assign that as an engineer, new, and I'm going to make another one that says not urgent. Hit enter to select it, and I'll change the color to blue. I'll say this connection is wrong, and I'm going to add a comment that says needs to be shear. I'll say OK, and I can have my note here as well. Another way that I can add a member note is by pre-selecting the member instead of trying to find it in the list. So if I wanted to add a note to this column, I could select it and add my model note, and then just pick where I want to place it. Notice it automatically links to the member that was selected. In the subject line, I'll put needs erection pinhole. And you don't have to put a comment in here if you don't want to. You can just leave it as a subject, and I'll say OK. And then I have my other member note in here. The last model note that would be, or last note type would be a project note. A project note, I'll start off just the same as before, adding a note, and I'll just place it right there for this case. And by unchecking the show in model, of course I have one pre-selected already, so I want to make sure I don't have anything pre-selected. I want to uncheck show in model. It's not linked to anything, so when it's not shown in the model and it's not linked to a member, it's considered a project note. I can do the same discipline and status, and I can set it to urgent if I want to, and you can also still set a color. So if I say needed for approval, and I add a comment to say need all columns on sheets by tomorrow. I can fill that out and I can say OK. And notice I do not see that project note visibly in the model, but it is still in here as a project note. To view all of your notes for your model, there is a model note viewer. I can come down to the note viewer in your model pull down, or I can come over to the icon right here with the little eyeball on it for your note viewer, and you'll see that I have all my notes visible here. At the top, I have view and search filters. I can sort by the type. If I want to see only my member notes, I can see only model notes, or I can see only project notes. When you have something selected in here, you can hold the control and left click, and it'll deselect that from the type, and it'll show you everything. I can also sort by members. So if I wanted to see what were on the members that I selected here, it'll show me any notes that were associated with those members. Again, I can come back in here, hit clear, and it'll show me, it will not filter it by the member type. Discipline and status and custom are all the same way. You can add multiple filters. So I said I wanted to look for a member that was new. It'll only show me the new member notes. It will not show me the one that does not have the tag on it. I can remove it and it'll show me both my member notes. There is a search field as well. One thing I want to point out, the search field is it is case sensitive. So this very top roof elevation note, if I type this all lowercase, it would not find it. If I actually capitalize the R like I did, it will find the note with that roof in the subject line. In the model, if I happen to have two notes at the same spot, the second one right here, and just just fill it out a little bit here, and say okay, I will have a number 2 or 3 or 4 or how many are over the top of each other, so you know there are multiple notes there. If I wanted to edit one of these notes, my right-clicking and select other and edit other will work on notes as well. So if I wanted to edit one of these notes, I could. Notice it tells me the subject line, who did it, and the last, how long ago it was added. So I can select one of these. I can edit my first one here. And let's say I come in here and I can set this to resolved. And I'll add a comment again saying looks correct to me. And I can add that comment and set it to resolved. You could at this point uncheck it from showing the model so it's not shown visibly. It would still be in your viewer and it would show as resolved. If I edit one of these, in this case, this connection over here, I can just double click on that note and it'll bring up the note edit window. There is an attachment field over here on the right. This will allow you to attach any file you want to this note. If I just left click in the field, it'll ask me to browse to the file that I want to attach. In this case, let's say the engineer sent me a picture of what he wants the connection to look like. I can say open, and then I'll get a window here that says, do I want to copy the file to the job, yes or no? If I say yes to copy this file, it makes an exact copy of the file and copies it into your job folder. If I say no, it's going to create a link on your wherever that file is at in the attachment field. So if you send this job to someone else or someone else in this model doesn't have access to that same location, they're not going to be able to open that attachment. I'm going to say yes to copy it into here. Once it's copied, all you have to do is double click on it again and it'll actually open the picture for you. So if it was like a picture or an RFI or something like that, you could attach it in here and have it linked to that note. When you copy a model note into the job, it will be stored in the job folder. So if I find my program data, 7.3b, jobs, and I find my webinar, there's a folder called Note. If I open this folder up, this is where the attachments are saved. So if I need to find that, if I want to find it in here and make it, make a copy for someone else, you could do that as well if you copied into the job. With the notes here, you can select them. You can move and copy notes. If I wanted to move this note down a ways, I could just move it down and it would still be there. It's still attached to this member. One thing about member notes, if this member gets deleted, that note is deleted with it. If that member ever gets brought back from a deleted members list, so if I go to my quick undelete and bring that member back, so does the note. The note comes back with the member. If I wanted to make it, put another copy of that note up at the top here, I could do that. And since this was a member note, it's going to ask me to select the member that I want to copy to. So I can select the same member again, and this new note will still be linked to the same member number. Also, with the new notes, there are, and again, you can select them just like you can before, and if you want to delete one, simple selecting it and deleting it just like anything else in SDS2, and I can delete that note permanently from the model. With the notes, there are selection filter added for notes, so if you wanted to select multiple notes, you could. It'll only select your notes. You can also, or you also have a display options check mark for notes as well. So you can turn off the visibility of notes in the entire model. So if one person doesn't want to see the notes, they can turn them on and off. They can turn it off for that user, and the other user that would use them, they can leave them on. One last thing I want to cover is that you cannot multi-edit notes currently. So if I had multiple notes selected and I went to edit them, it's going to ask me pick which one you want to edit. So you can only edit one note at a time. That is all for the webinar today. I want to thank you guys for attending. And again, if you have any questions or anything else that come up during the webinar, please email your support rep, give us a call, and ask us those questions, and we'll make sure that we get any questions that were not clear or anything like that with the webinar answered. Again, thanks and have a nice day.